From the couple splitting up because of circumstances beyond the actor's control, to his ex-wife trying to get as much money out of the divorce as possible, here's Kevin Costner's relationship drama explained. So the couple went public with their divorce on the 1st of May 2023. And let's just say, stuff has only gotten worse between them since then. At the time, Kevin mentioned how he was sad about how it all happened, but the thing was, things had gotten out of his control, and divorce was the only way forward for the two. It really must have been a huge blow, though. After all, the star had been married to Christine Baumgartner since 2004. The two had irreconcilable differences, which is why there was little chance of them patching things up and getting back together. Now, from what Kevin said, it was clear that he wasn't the one asking for a divorce. In fact, if it was up to him, they'd probably still be together. Christine was even seen without her wedding ring on May 3rd. This was despite wearing a couple of other pieces of jewelry. So it was pretty clear to everyone that she was looking to move forward with the divorce. Fans began speculating why this all happened, and the biggest reason felt like it might be Yellowstone. The thing is, Kevin's been super busy the past few years. Working on Yellowstone was a blessing for the star after all. The show put him back in the spotlight and basically reignited his career.
Thank you.
But in a way, it was also kind of a curse, because it meant that he had to be away from his family for months on end, and it looks like all that time apart was really starting to affect Christine. That's because she wanted him to spend more family time at their Santa Barbara home. But with Yellowstone such a big part of the star's life, it wasn't going to happen. It's possible that Christine was asking him to leave Yellowstone after season 5 wrapped up.
What's she saying?
Says that it's wrong for one man to own all this. He says you should share it with all the people.
Yeah.
And while he did end up doing this, here's where things get extra spicy. Instead of coming back home and spending more time with the family as Christine wanted, Kevin just signed up for another movie. The star began work on Horizon, an upcoming film series that he spent most of last year shooting. And get this isn't some small role he's got in the movie either. In fact, not only is he going to be in front of the camera as an actor, but this time around he's also taking on directorial duties too. And here's the kicker, the guy's also going to be producing and writing this thing. It's safe to say he's going to be doing just about everything there is to do when it comes to making this movie. In fact, he was so dedicated to this film, he basically abandoned Yellowstone. Instead of wrapping up the series properly, the star stopped filming midway and asked for his filming schedule to get reduced. While at first, you might think he did this so he'd be closer to his family. Looking at things now, it was clearly just so he'd have more time to work on Horizon. Obviously, Christine wasn't having it anymore. After all, she knew if Kevin started working on this movie, he'd be gone once again, for who knows how long. Especially when you consider Horizon supposed to be a part of a 4-film-long saga. It meant that much of the star's next few years will be consumed by this single project. And even after he gets done with it, who's to say he won't jump into the next big thing? Like the total workaholic he is. And so Christine ended things with him, which was a huge shock to Kevin. I mean, he knew things at home were a bit bad, but the actor never could have imagined his wife would actually go for divorce. But hey, you push someone far enough and eventually they'll break, right? History aside, there's a ton of issues still going on between the two, because while their relationship might be over, the legal battles the two are facing are just getting started. The first legal dispute they faced was when Christine refused to vacate Kevin's home. So, as per the prenuptial agreement they'd signed, Baumgartner had about 30 days to pack up her things and move out of Kevin's house. Now, keep in mind, they went public with the divorce on May 1st, so she had until the start of June to do all this. But here's the thing, even halfway into June, she barely moved an inch. It was clear she didn't want to leave at all. This was despite the fact that Kevin was basically going to pay for all of it anyway. Like, he was willing to give her a $10,000 payment for covering her moving costs. Plus, the star said he'd cover her rental expenses by giving her $30,000 a month. If you think about it, he was basically asking her to take an all-expenses-paid vacation somewhere, but she was still like, nope. Her lawyers even came up with a defense. They said Baumgartner had been living in that house with their kids for their entire lives, so asking them to move now is wrong on so many levels. Now, I'm no lawyer, but that seems like a weak argument, don't you think? After all, Kevin isn't even asking the kids to leave. It's just Christine he wants gone. Costner's legal time even mentioned that Christine's grasping at straws, trying to find some reason to still stay there when she's got no legal right. And eventually, even the court sided with Kevin. A judge told Christine she's got till the end of July to move out of the house. And after that, well, things could get ugly. Now, the star's still trying to keep everything civil after all. I don't think he can afford even more controversies. But who knows what'll happen if Baumgartner's still refusing to vacate the house by the end of July. And it's not like this is the only issue going on between the two. Let's not forget the fact that the two were arguing over how much money the kids needed in child support. Now brace yourself for this one. At first, Christine and her team asked for $250,000 in child support. That's $250,000 to take care of 3 minor kids. And this figure doesn't even include things like health care or school tuition because that's going to come out of Kevin's pocket separately. It's obviously way too much. At first, Kevin mentioned he'd pay $38,000 while also covering costs like tuition, fees, and school trips. The star felt like, even if you give the kids a very luxurious lifestyle, needing $500,000 to tend to their needs is downright impossible. His legal team even stated that at a certain point, all that cash isn't going to benefit the kids anymore and will simply be spent on supporting the lifestyle of the parent taking care of them. And here's what's interesting. Christine's been trying to get as much money out of the divorce as possible. Her team said the reason they're asking for that much money is because it's the same amount Kevin spends whenever he's with his kids. They also added that Kevin's new figure, which was around $51K, was way too low. Because the star is basically asking the kids to live on just 20% of the amount that he used to spend on them. It's unfair that despite his millions of dollars, he expects the kids to live under their economic circumstances when they're with their mom. It might cause the kids to hate staying with Christine because they always feel like they're better off when they're with Kevin. And eventually, it'll pull the kids away from Baumgartner and make them only want to hang out with Costner. In a way, this strategy might be a way to pull the kids towards him and away from his wife. But then again, it's not like Kevin's leaving them penniless. $51K is still a decent amount of cash to handle the expenses of 3 little kids, especially when you consider that this doesn't include a lot of the major costs like tuition and healthcare. At a certain point, you really have to wonder if the amount is going to be used for the sake of the kids or to fuel the extravagance of Baumgartner. From what I've heard, she intended on using that cash on plastic surgery. Not to mention her designer handbag business is down in the dumps. So it really seems like this divorce might be her one-way ticket to some cold hard cash. And there you have it. From his ex-wife trying to get as much money out of the divorce as possible, to the couple splitting up because of circumstances beyond the actor's control. That was all on Kevin Costner's relationship drama explained.